Tonight about wheels and tires and what you can and can't do with your Speed UTV on the back spacing of the tires. So that's going to be a good thing. We're going to show you production suspension that is all robot welded, and I want everybody to understand these are production parts. These are not aftermarket, TIG welded components, but these are production components. We're pretty excited about that part of it, and kind of walk you through the things that have happened the last, I guess it's been 6 days because we did last Thursday night. So we'll give you what's happened the last 6 days here at Speed UTV. So thanks for joining in tonight. I'm going to set my phone here and we'll get started with tonight's presentation. Got a bad glare for some reason. Don't recall having that glare like that before. Let me change the TV a little bit and see if that helps us. If not, we might tone down the lights tonight. Any help on that glare there?
Try pushing it backwards a little bit.
Don't recall that glare last week when we did this.
Yeah, some were mentioning it.
They were mentioned last week too? How about forward a little bit? I wonder if it ever gets any better.
I think that got worse.
That got worse, okay. I don't know what's happening there. All right, maybe lights off on this half?
This was not bad.
Okay. All right, we're gonna get ready for show 57. 57 weeks we've been showing you behind the scenes of the Speed UTV build, and obviously every week we get closer and closer. And want to show you this week we're gonna spend some time on wheel and tire fitment. I've had a lot of phone calls, a lot of customers calling saying, hey, I'm gonna either put some KMC wheels on it, or I'm gonna put some methods or race lines or ultras or whatever each individual chooses, because we know we have customers that want to do their own stuff, and we're totally good with that. So I think it's a frequently asked question, and we want to address the fitments so that you understand, one, why we designed our own wheel, and how we optimized designing a wheel for our whole suspension package. That does not mean that all wheels aftermarket will not fit on our car. I'm sure there's some that will, but we want to make sure that you do understanding or you research it and make sure that the back spacing is correct. So we're going to give you inch numbers to work off of and back spacing metric system like a lot of wheel companies use of what the backspace is. So Daniel put a very nice presentation together for me tonight to work our way through this. So there's 3 key measurements with sizing. There's obviously the width, the backspace, and the offset. And I want to explain what that is. And the center line is obviously this purple line right here. And then anything from this point to this point is what we call an offset. And if you look here, our concern is from the mounting pad to this edge right here. The reason for that is with the steering angle and the suspension geometry and where the wheel bearing is placed for optimum axle length and wheel travel and steering, we have a concern in this area. So we've optimized the wheel package to have the strongest, most reliable wheel bearings, the best suspension geometry we could possibly get on a UTV, and also the access of the CV joint itself and how the CV joint fits inside the spindle and rotates around the axis of the kingpin inclination. So we'll explain some of that to you, but the biggest thing came because people said, hey, I'm gonna put a method wheel on it. And I said, well, let me explain to you what you can do with a method before you just go off and buy 4 method wheels. You put them on your Speed UTV and you realize that the wheel crashes into the tie rod. So Daniel has put some more presentations together, and I want to show this area over here And this is where at full droop, and because the tie rod's going uphill, the distance between the inside of the bead, I wouldn't call it the total out space, it's the green area here, and how close it gets to the tie rod. And if you put too wide of a wheel on it with not the correct back spacing, now you could go the other direction, but then that loads your bearings and loads your suspension arms and puts all that stuff not in complete optimum position. So this is the area we're looking at, and we're talking about the tie rod to the inner space of the wheel. So I'll back up and we'll start here with this thing again. And the back spacing is measured from the HUD mounting pad, which is where the wheel bolts on. Zoom in here. Hub mounting pad.
Yeah,
it's chopped up on that one. All right, let me come over to this wheel here. And this is the hub mounting pad on the back side. And maximum back spacing from the hub mounting pad is 4.96. We believe that our speed wheels are right there at probably the most. But I've got a wheel here that we started with as our first build wheel, and this is an example of what not to do. Yeah. And we thought we could go in this direction, and as we got closer to cycling the suspension, seeing it in the real world, and now we're going back months. This isn't stuff that just happened last week. We're talking 8 months ago, 10 months ago, we identified this problem. And what I want to do as a relation from speed to the customer is explain exactly what you can and can't do with the wheel. So here's your wheel widths.
Yeah, so that first one there, that's the production, what's coming on the car.
This one over here is what's coming on the car, and that is 4.73 from the hub pad to the edge that I'm concerned with, that green ring that I showed you for, 4.73. We have up to 4.96, so about 230 thou? 230 thou, which is about that far. You could be different from where our wheel is, or you crash into a tie rod at full steering, which means you're going to limit your steering angle. But because we have hydraulic ram, you'd have to get inside your steering rack. You have to put spacers inside your steering rack, and then you would limit your wheel travel. That's not something you want to do. You want to have the maximum amount of steering angle for U-turns or getting around trees or rocks or whatever. So ideally, you can never go past 4.96. So we got guys looking at sand tires, and we're talking about front suspension now. We're not talking about rear, but this does imply into the rear as well, and we'll show you that. I think that's another slide past. But we're talking about front wheel widths, 4.96 from the mounting pad backwards. On the Speed UTV, we call it a 6-inch wheel, but from bead to bead, it's actually a 5.38 wheel. 5.38 from bead to bead. I've got a wheel here, and I'll kind of explain some of that as we get closer, and I'll have Scott bring the cameras down where I can explain to you how to measure this angle. On the production wheel, we have 630 thou between the most inset side of the wheel to the tie rod. And when you start changing those, it changes it pretty drastically when you start going wider. And we do not recommend going less than, call it 0.400 thou, which 400 thou is about that gap right there. It's not a big gap, less than a ½ inch. And you got to remember, these wheels, you're going to go out, you're going to go off-roading. Sometimes you might run lower wheel pressure. You could bend your wheel a little bit. That's going to get it closer to that tie rod. So the reason we're giving these safety recommendations, this is what we would do and what we recommend. So the steering geometry, also, Daniel's put another little slide here, which we call scrub radius. Some people may be familiar with this, some may not. But for example, we've tried to optimize the scrub radius to be just inside the tire a little bit on a 32-inch tire, with the understanding that eventually guys will go to biggers, to 33s, 34s, 35s, and we'll optimize that all the way down to what that is. But we want a little bit of scrub radius to get handling, but if you want a little taller tire, it wouldn't hurt you that much. But when you go off to a wider outside wheel, then your scrub radius moves way inside, which means you're steering dualies a lot more. You've seen like a truck that has a dually wheel and it turns and it shoves the tire all the way up into the fender and back into the wheel well. That's what you call scrub. So you got to be careful on how far wider you make the wheels because it will change your scrub radius. But also, anytime you go wider, you put more leverage on your bearing. So if I go back to I guess I don't have the picture here, the one I'm kind of looking for, but if you look at in here and you're looking at scrub radius, we've got the bearing centered up right about the center of the tire. Actually, as it works its way down through the scrub radius, it's loading the bearing and we're taking most of that load that we talk about all the time right on top of the bearing. Every time you move the wheel outward, you put more leverage on that bearing. And I think one of the reasons we've had so much success with our car lately is because we've optimized that bearing load. So imagine if you had your bearing hanging way over here and you had a leverage point, you're working that bearing a lot more. If you can be over the top of it, you're right there inside the yoke of it where it's really good and it's really happy. All right, so before I move on to the rear, I want to move over here to the wheel and kind of explain exactly what we're doing and how we're doing it. Scott, would you take my other camera there? And we made a little ruler basically. Matt did this for us and put a 15-inch wheel backspace checker. So what we're looking for here on the wheel is we're looking to understand exactly what the backspacing is. So this was one of our early wheel prototypes. And when we went to go put this car on the test cars back in, like I said, 7 or 8 months ago, maybe more, you'll see that this wheel pops up at like 5 7/8 of backspace. This is too much backspace, and what's going to happen is the tie rod is going to hit right here on this angle area in the wheel. So we've got to be careful that we don't increase this wheel so far from here back. And as people are looking at their aftermarket wheels, pretty simple. Here's your tape measure. If you had a ruler, you could take a ruler, you can lay it down there across the wheel, kind of see where your number pops out, and boom, you'll get your number. Our number that we recommend is, what was that?
Basically 5 inches or less.
I think it was a little less than that.
Yeah, it's 4.97.
4.97, so less than 5 inches, and I've got 5 3/4 here, which means I'm going to crash onto the tie rod. So just really wanted to explain this because customers are asking, okay, well, if we put this wheel on and this paddle on, is it going to clear? Is it going to be okay? I'd hate for you to go spend $2,000 in wheels and tires and find out that you cannot actually use them because it's rubbing up against tie rod at full steering and you're wearing out either your tie rod or the inside ring of your wheel, and that's going to create a problem and potentially a crash. So we talked about the front. Now let's talk about the rear. And this is the picture I was looking for. So if you look at the smaller tire package here, this is our production tire package. I can zoom in on that. Thank you. This is our production tire package. And as you see here, we've got this wheel bearing lined up right dead middle down the center of the wheel and tire package, which one, we've optimized shoving the bearing out as far as we possibly can towards the wheel face, which gives us a longer axle. With a longer axle, we can get more wheel travel. But more importantly, we put the load right where the load needs, right down the center of the wheel, that gives us the strongest bearing package in the industry because we're not hanging off the edge of it. We're just loading it right over the top. So now I'll move into the rear wheels, and because this is our sand tire package, that we sell on Speed UTV today. The bigger wheel is our sand wheel. All right, if you look here, we've moved over just a tiny bit closer here. We still got plenty of clearance here on the trailing arm. And remember, when you go to sand tires, most guys are running anywhere from 6 to 12 pounds of tire pressure. You're going to get some tire flex that potentially can come and rub up on the trailing arm. So you want to make sure you give yourself a lot of clearance here, because the sidewall of the tire is the weakest part of the tire. And if you rub it up onto the trailing arm, you potentially can have problems. So then let's use that same number of backspace for a sand wheel as well. You got a little bit of room you can play with, about 1/4 inch, but don't go excessive on the back spacing, because then you're going to get so close here that you're going to actually rub on your trailing arm. Now the rear, because it doesn't have scrub radius and it just goes straight up and down, it's not going to be that big of a deal, but it is going to load the bearing just a little more. But remember, when you're in the sand is a surface that is softer. It's more forgiving than dirt, and it won't be as abrupt as what you would see on a hard-packed dirt road. All right. So the production wheel and tires of KMC, 15.10 offset, 0 offset, which means it's right down the middle of the wheel. Is that right?
Yeah.
And it has a 33, so it's 5 inches on the back side, and it's 5 inches on the front side, so that's a 0. And that still clears and gives us enough room on our rear trailing arm. With a 33-inch tall paddle, this is what the 33-inch tall paddle looks if you were to lay it over top of the 32-inch Speed UTV tire. So really wanted to just kind of walk through this thing. I want to go back to the numbers one more time. Please remember that you have to be less than 5 inches from the mounting pad to that little edge inside the wheel. Not all the way to the outside, but to this inside edge. This presentation will be posted up on Speed UTV Facebook, Instagram, as well as the YouTube, and it goes on to Speed UTV's website. So come back and look at this. You can check out your wheels. If you're looking for aftermarket wheels besides the Speed UTV and you want to choose either a KMC or a Method or one of the other wheels out there, you've got this little cheat sheet you can use to go against. So I would print this page and I would print this page, and when you're going to look for different tires besides what we offer, make sure that you understand what you're getting and that the product you're buying will work on the UTV you purchased. All right, here's the Sand Slinger tire. We've got the correct offset. That's a 15x6 with a 36 millimeter. What is 36 millimeter offset? What's that come to? Just double checking our numbers here. Daniel's running some calcs for me real quick.
1.4 inches. So the offset is measuring the distance from the center line to the mounting pad.
Yep.
And then backspacing is going from.
Do you know what that wheel backspacing is?
I think it's right at 5 inches.
Right. This is a 5-inch backspace wheel.
They may be going to the very outer edge of the lift.
All right. We'll check that and we'll get you our Sand Slinger numbers and get that added into next week's show. I hope I'm not confusing you guys here, but I really want to make sure that you guys buy the right products that you can use on the Speed UTV. 5-point harnesses are standard. These are our production harnesses for the Speed UTV. So 5-point harnesses are standard in Speed UTV. What's cool about it? The safety aspect. The safety aspect of a 5-point harness over a standard 3-point harness is honestly a day and night difference. It holds you in the car. You would never be allowed in any form of motorsport to use an over-the-shoulder 3-point harness and think you're going to be out there safe to go ride. I don't think they should be used in off-road vehicles because there's so much movement going on, and the chance of an accident in off-road is far greater than what you would receive in your street car.
The big thing of the 5th point versus the 4-point.
Yeah, the 5th point. What the 5th point does is it really holds the waistband strap down, and it doesn't let you submarine down, and it doesn't let it expose and stretch you out. And it really holds you back into the seat the way you're supposed to be done. And these are easily adjustable. All of them are adjustable. And you would have to maybe adjust if you're going to slide the seat all the way forward. And we'll teach you guys how to do this, and we'll explain how to do this. And we'll get dealers set up where they can help the customer set the seat belts in the right position as well. There's a FIA standard out there. There's a automotive standard, racing standard for where you should put your seat belts. And we'll make sure we document that and share you guys how to do that as well.
I was just thinking that people don't really know that UTVs require you to have a seatbelt, so that was a little more complicated of a job than what people think.
And the sensor.
The other thing is a 5-point with a sensor. The 5-point with a sensor was the most difficult thing for us to achieve, and we've now been able to do it, and we feel good. Plastics are popping out of molds. People keep asking for plastics. This is one of our floorboards. This is the back firewall. There is extra panels in here for rockers. This is the shifter. So the sequential shifter is now out of casting. Parts are coming in, which is very, very good because, as you know, on the test car, I basically been timing it myself to shift the thing. And now we've got that. Gearbox is assembled. Front diffs fully assembled. Probably the coolest thing we have this week is production suspension. So, you guys have seen the stuff we tested with, and this is exactly the same stuff we've been testing with, but this is robot welded, completely robot welded. These are 4130, has the exact same components as what we've used on the Speed long travel accessory kits over the years. And this has the center mounted sway bars. It has the reversible lower A-arms. And as you've seen with our Speed UTV testing, these are the exact components, but done in an assembly line fashion compared to a one-off, either MIG welded or TIG welded. And I'm very happy with what we're seeing here. If you go compare these components to a Honda, Kawasaki, Can-Am, Polaris, there's no reason to go buy an accessory long travel kit when you get from the factory a 4130 MIG welded, but robot MIG welded, which means the pulses are timed perfectly so we don't have hot spots in the metal. I'm very, very pleased with what I'm seeing here for production parts. And I believe the other manufacturers are probably very scared now that they're seeing this as our production parts. Oh, what do we got here? Oh, maybe we'll talk about that next week. Got some good stuff coming for next week. And we will, I'm gonna take one of my cars and we're gonna have some fun. So stay tuned for next week's show. And if you have any of these coins, let me know. And I'm willing to do some trades with you. This week is a pretty short call. Like I said, Robbie Gordon here. Let's call 704-949-1255. And let's talk about tonight's show or other questions that you would like to see in next week's show. Again, thanks for tuning in. And I'll be over here to take some calls. Appreciate it.
I got a couple of questions, Kevin.
Couple questions. Go ahead. Give me some questions.
Seatbelts, are they race legal?
Seatbelts are not race legal. You would have to have them stamped if you're going to do that. So you got to have your, what's it called? SFI stamping. You'll have to have SFI stamped seatbelts. That's part of race organization here. But as we do our production belts, these are what our production belts will be. And I'm sure we will have some race belts in the future as well.
Yeah, I mean, our current speed ones just went through the SFI certification, so we can do that.
Perfect. So our speed belts are in that process now?
Yeah, we can do that
Lighting
process.
products, so we got a lifetime warranty on these?
What's that?
Do we have a lifetime warranty on the lighting products?
Lifetime warranty? No, I don't believe anybody's offering lifetime warranty on lighting products.
This isn't a question, but somebody just commented on how Polaris advertises on the front of our videos on YouTube.
That's pretty cool. Obviously, they know where we're at, and we look forward to being out there with Polaris as well. We got a lot of work to do. That's a great company, and we look forward to playing with them. I love the production parts. We got some calls coming in.
Roll that up.
All right, good.
Fully parked.
All right,
Park. Switch you over.
taking some calls tonight. Why don't you slide it over here now?
I'm gonna just go to the mic for this thing.
All right. Hey, you're on with Robbie Gordon. How you doing?
Good. How are you, Robbie?
I'm doing good. Thanks for calling in tonight.
So I have a question off of last week's show, dealing with the chemicals, the break-in oil, and all like that. Are your lubricants going to be proprietary, or will there be other suggested ones for use?
Well, we have some of our lubricants are proprietary because we've got different ingredients, mixtures built up for what we believe is the right gear oil and motor oil, based on foaming agents and stuff like that. So we've been working with VP for a long time, and they've had engineers working on these products for the last year and a half, getting ready for this. And obviously, all of our dyno testing, all of our tune tests, everything has been based off the VP products.
Right. So they'll be available from you, VP, and dealers, correct?
And dealers, yes. Dealers will have our products as well as VP and hopefully everybody else.
Perfect.
Is he on that
Next
mic?
question off of tonight's show. The belts. They look like they're 2-inch belts.
Yes, we are coming standard with 2-inch belts. We feel that is plenty good for safety. If you look at, most UTVs come with a 3-point harness as a 2-inch belt, and we've beefed up the webbing a little more than anybody in the industry, and we come with a 5-point. We feel like that is what this car needs to come with as a production car. So there's a lot of things that we've done right from the get-go that no other manufacturer is currently doing today.
Oh, I agree. I used to work in the safety manufacturing industry of seatbelts and stuff like that. So I'm behind everything that you're doing. And then one last thing, I just enjoy seeing the phone in the background.
The phone's sitting there. All right. Well, thank you for that phone. We have not been able to hook this thing up to our digital system yet. If you got any ideas, if you're a electronic engineer, let me know if we can make this thing work. I showed that thing to Max not too long ago, and he didn't even know how to dial the phone, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
He's like, what do I do with that? And where do I push the button? And he kept trying to push the buttons. I'm like, no, you got to spin it. So, it's just, I guess with age, you see different things. And obviously this phone is a history one here. So if I can make it work, that'd be awesome. I'm sure it will work. Yeah, we got a speed UTV to get to market. So we're going to leave the phone to another project time. Cool.
All right, well, thank you for the time.
No problem. Hey, can I get your master number?
1503.
All right, 1503. You got a speed UTV T-shirt coming.
Awesome.
Thank you.
What size?
What size are you?
Double X.
XX. All right, cool. Thank you. All right, appreciate it.
Worth overdoing, right?
Yeah, why not, right? Have a good one, man. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
You gotta hang up the speaker first and then press the part. So the speaker button is green.
Nope, it's gone.
Double X.
What am I doing now?
You got a red one?
Hey, you're on with Robbie Gordon. How you doing?
Hey, Robbie, doing good. Kyle here from Arizona Speedway.
Oh, perfect. How's it going, Kyle?
Doing well. I really want to thank you for today's presentation. The sand tires were a big question I had.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I had a phone call come in. I spent some time on the phone with a customer. I said, okay, well, this week we'll talk about that because people obviously are starting to think of, okay, 2021 sand season. I want to get my tires. I want to be ready. And what I want to make sure, and Todd, we want to make sure that we explain to you what the backspace is. It's something very easy that anybody could go and do now that you know the numbers. And hopefully, you guys will fall within that guideline.
Yeah, most definitely. I noticed on some of the testing you did out in the sand, it looked like you were testing some different front tires. Did you have any thoughts on the different tires that you were testing out there?
We were just playing, that was our first, that was back on the Diablo. We wanted to go to the sand with clutching, and we just started grabbing stuff. I think I got those things from Biffle when I was out there. And, we just mixed in. The tires that we had on the car were good. Obviously had plenty of grip, and that was our tire that is listed on Speed UTV. It's a sand slinger, and it had the proper offset front wheel. It had our 10-inch backspace, or not backspace, but our 0 offset rear wheel as a 10, and the car was a pleasure to drive. It was a lot of fun. I know a lot of guys will try different things. That's just the nature of the industry. We all go out there and have fun, but that's what we ended up on. That's why we put those on the site.
Yeah, I see so many different types of tires being used all over the place, and coming from a sand rail, you don't have as many choices as the side-by-sides, and so I was just wondering. It's good to know, and I'll definitely be needing to add a set of sand tires to my car since I'm primarily out in Glamis.
All right, perfect. Yeah, and then I saw those, those sand tires that they actually look a little goofy. They got those treads all over. We have not run those yet, but they look like they'd be a lot of fun.
Like the 360s or something like that?
I don't know what they are, but they remind me a lot of, the 1980s sand tires, almost like an implement tire with just a little bit of grip on them. So there was, but we have not tested on those, so I wouldn't know how they would actually perform.
Gotcha. All right. Well, that definitely helps out, though. I'm
All right.
looking forward to running the car out in Glamis.
Excellent. And what's your master number, Kyle?
Let's see. I got master number, looking it up right here, 2383.
And can I get a shirt size from you?
Medium.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you very much for your deal. Did you understand the offset okay? Was I decently clear on explanation?
I'm coming from a motorsports background anyhow, so offsets are nothing new for me.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night. All right, let's try again.
You got a big fan online tonight. My question is, why is he so hot?
Hey, it's Robbie Gordon. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. Can I get your master number?
2155.
T-shirt size?
Large.
Large. Perfect. Hey, thanks for joining in tonight. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good. Pretty good. It's been a good week. Like I said, seeing production suspension off the robot out of powder coat. Those are exciting times for us. As you see, every week we share more and more parts with you. And, the first couple sets of production suspension, I'm like, nope, that's not going to work. Go back and out a weld because, how do I say, Max can do better than that when he was 6 years old. So we've got a very high standard of what we're expecting for products. And looks like the robot is starting to learn our standards.
Yeah, they're looking really good.
Cool.
Things are really coming along.
Yeah, no, I mean, between, production clutches, suspension, diffs, shifters. I mean, every week is Christmas and we share it with you as we get components. And it's been a lot of fun. So we've got ECU guys in town tomorrow night doing some more testing stuff. Feel really good about that. And all kinds of cool stuff, hopefully for next week as well.
Awesome.
Any questions for tonight?
No, not really.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for calling in. Got yourself a
Seems to
speed.
be covering everything.
Excellent. We try to, and if it's not, go back and check out some of the shows if you have time. And
I've watched them all.
Perfect. Are we missing anything? Are we not explaining stuff? Obviously, we're trying, but this is new for us too.
No, I think you guys are doing just fine.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Quick question. I see people selling the reservation numbers. Is that a legitimate way to buy them?
Reservation numbers?
Yeah, people that are selling their cars.
Yeah, I believe there is some people selling their cars. Is that a legitimate way to buy them? Just go through us to do it. through the process if that's what you want to do to get an early number. Obviously, some guys bought early. There's nothing wrong with that. They're marking up their product a little bit more. That happens with every manufacturer anytime we start in the pre-order game. I don't believe other manufacturers allow you to trade until you get your vehicle. And sometimes, like with the Ford GT40, you're not allowed to do it for a year. But on this deal here, we've allowed that from the beginning. We'll continue to allow it. But as we get closer and closer to production dates for certain cars, that's obviously going to stop. And they're going to have to do it after they receive their cars because the cars are heading to production. So it's a good question. And thanks for that one, Rob. Hey, you're on with Robbie Gordon tonight. How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Can I get your master number?
Yes. I actually bought pre-order out of Liberty Motorsports, and I remember they telling me it was 1729.
1729. Can I get your name, please?
Jose Acuna.
I'll make sure that I double check that master. What size shirt are you tonight, bud?
Double X.
Double X. All right.
Not my
I got a couple. I got 2 or 3 double X's inside this room right here right now. So every time double X comes in, they get excited. But hey, thanks for calling in tonight. Any questions for tonight?
Yeah, I was actually wondering, what would you recommend the max off space for the front wheels? Offset.
Maximum the other direction. So
Yes.
Depends on one, how wide of a wheel you're going to go. I know what we designed the optimum steering access points and scrub radius is basically our production wheel, and I believe that is 4.93
offset, if you go back to the
offset. Yeah, what would the offset number be?
it's like a 40 something.
Hang on, he's going to give me the offset.
45 millimeter, plus 45.
Yep. So on our production wheel, we're a plus 45 offset.
And
Plus 45 offset.
Yep.
Okay.
Which with a back spacing of 4.73 inches from the pad to that critical corner that I was talking about tonight.
Yeah.
kind of depends what you're going to be doing.
It depends on what you're going to be doing with it. Are you going to the desert? Are you going to the dunes?
It's mostly gonna be hard pack, but I mean I plan on hitting the dunes too eventually.
Yeah, we've been to the dunes with our production wheels. And I understand people want to have production sand tires as well. Where you don't have to remount them and put them on. You just want to be able to bolt 4 bolts and go with it.
Exactly.
I don't know. Probably as far the other direction. I would like to see you stay within that 4-inch number from the mounting pad backwards, and depends on if you want a 7 or an 8, because obviously it's gonna move. But I'd like to see you somewhere around the 4-inch mark from the back pad forward. What offset would that be? Could you work that?
Yeah.
Daniel's gonna work that. If you stick with me, I'll get you an answer there. Any other questions?
On how much of a wheel you said?
Excited that I got on finally.
No. Thanks for calling in, Jose. Obviously, it's Cinco de Mayo. We're born in Baja, and our tacos are definitely going to get cold tonight.
Yeah.
Do you got the number for me?
Well, how wide of a wheel?
Oh, how wide of a wheel are you thinking about, Jose?
I don't know. Probably 7, I guess.
7 on the front.
So it's a 7-inch wheel. You got 5.96. I did that one out there. So like a plus 31 would give you the max back spacing. But yeah.
He's working some numbers real quick for me.
All right, I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. Well, if you
What
were
number caller am I?
if you were a 7, no, you're number 4. Number 5's the winner.
All right.
You want to hang up and call back?
Maybe like a plus 55 or something. I mean, I don't think anyone makes anything like that.
Yeah, Daniel thinks it's like a plus 55, but we'll how about this? We'll give you some guidelines to stay between and we'll get that posted for next week, and that'll be at the end of our show next week. I'll give you some offsets to play with.
Sounds good. I appreciate that. Oh, also, I ordered the speed toolbox.
Yes.
Smaller one. Back in December, it was my Christmas present to myself, and I got a call on it, and actually, I heard that you guys were going to release them in April, or
no, the small ones will be available in June.
June. Okay.
Yep. So we're not far away. We're 25, 30 days away. We will be restocked on big ones by the 3rd week of May, and we're supposed to be 2 weeks later than that. We're supposed to see the small ones.
All right. Sounds good.
And we have thousands of those ordered, so we'll be in good shape.
All right. Sounds good.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you. Caller number 5, winner, chicken dinner.
Case of Speed Energy,
Speed Energy,
2 cases.
2 cases. All right. That's what we're giving away tonight. And what?
No.
I'm not giving any of my coins away. Jesus. Rob is going to give a coin away.
Dude, coin's like 50, 60 cents.
Wow, that's mighty white of Rob to do that. All right.
You thought I was Jewish.
Hey, it's Rob.
Call in the queue.
There's no call on number 5. No Speed Energy tonight. Man.
All right,
What's
All
his
right.
name? Where's that kid?
let's just go eat tacos.
Hold on. We got one more.
The kid. If it's just ringing, if it's not already on party.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, you're on with Robbie Gordon tonight. How you doing?
Doing good. How are you tonight?
I'm doing good. Caller number 5. So tonight you're getting 2 cases of Speed Energy and a Speed UTV shirt. So you get a case of orange, you get a case of green, and Rob Harris says he's giving you 4 Dogecoins.
Right on. That's awesome. I've been trying since week 5, driving my wife crazy, double-timing phones, trying to get through.
Perfect. What's your master number? Do you have a car with us yet or no?
Yeah, I got an El Jefe through Carson Motorsports. It's master number 1089.
1089. And what size shirt do you wear?
Large.
Large. All right. Perfect. All right. Got that taken care of. So what's your question tonight?
I was wondering about the clutch shroud. Is that vented or is it fully uncovered?
It's fully uncovered. The production one comes fully uncovered, and it also has mounting pads if we want to do our race fan like you've seen us do on some of our cars that we've been running here lately with the external fan on the outside of it. But it does come completely sealed, and we're pretty confident that we won't have to do that. But then again, at long sustained runs of 80 miles an hour, that's where we see our highest belt temps. And obviously, if we feel like we need to do that for desert racing and Baja, then we'll vent it out the side, and it's already pre-made with bosses. It would just have to be CNC milled or drilled and cut to relieve the air gaps.
Gotcha. All right. Well, fully sealed actually works good for me. I got some river crossings in my area.
Perfect. Yep. No, fully sealed, and it starts at the back side of the number plate. So the back side of the number plate is your height, and I want to say that's got to be 40 inches above the water. Probably somewhere around 40 inches up. You would have to be that deep to be able to get water into your air filter and into your CVT.
All right. Sounds good. Can't wait for it.
All right.
Itching.
Well, thank you. We are too, and we're digging every week. So back at it. We'll be with you guys every week like we've been, and bring you up to speed on where we're at all the time. So thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in tonight. Congratulations on some Speed Energy, and we'll get that shipped out to you. We'll call you tomorrow and double check or send you an email. Make sure we got the right address for you.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, 1089, right? Master 1089.
1089 through Carson City Motorsports.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, everybody. It's going to wrap show 57. Thank you very much for tuning in. Obviously, a lot of good questions come in. throughout our sales reps as well. People just say, what package can we do? And hopefully we've given you guys good direction tonight. That's what we try to do every week and keep you informed of what's going on with Speed UTV. Thank you very much. We'll be back next week for show 58. Appreciate it.